There's a force inside you right now that could shatter every limitation holding you back. It's a primal energy so powerful that ancient civilizations built their greatest warriors around harnessing it. But you've been taught to fear it, to suppress it, to medicate it away. The Spartans, Vikings, and samurai didn't become legends by staying calm. They became immortal by unlocking something most modern men will never access: weaponized anger. While society tells you to talk your rage away in therapy, a small group of high achievers are using this exact energy to dominate their industries and build empires. So why do most people waste their most powerful fuel source? What did ancient warriors know about anger that modern psychology wants you to forget? The version of you that everyone is comfortable with is the version that will never achieve anything extraordinary. If you're tired of suppressing the fire that could forge you into a legend, subscribe right now. There's a part of your mind, a mental archive, that's been deliberately erased. A truth so dangerous, so powerful, that generations have been taught to suppress it, to bury it under layers of social rules. You carry within you a primal force, a volcanic energy that could shatter all your limits and launch you to levels of performance you can't even imagine. But they told you this force is bad, that you need to control it, suffocate it, medicate it until it disappears. They taught you that anger is the enemy, a weakness to be ashamed of, a flaw in your character that needs fixing. And while you swallowed this beautiful lie, a small group of men throughout history understood an ancient code. They knew that anger is not your enemy, it's your most powerful weapon. Learning to forge it, to channel it, to transform it into pure, focused energy is what separates legends from those who die with their potential locked inside. This isn't for the weak-minded. This isn't another self-help sermon about positive thinking and morning affirmations. This is the forbidden knowledge that ancient warriors carried to their graves, the secret that turned ordinary men into forces of nature. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you already knows that real power has never been polite, never been comfortable, and certainly never been designed for those seeking everyone's approval. The Spartans, the Vikings, the samurai, the Roman gladiators, these weren't men who suppressed their anger. They were men who understood something that modern psychology desperately tries to hide from you. Anger is concentrated life force. It is your nervous system screaming that something needs to change, that you have been disrespected, that your boundaries have been violated, that you are settling for less than you deserve. While the world sells you therapy sessions to process your anger until it becomes a domesticated puppy, the ancient warriors knew that anger is a wild wolf, and you don't tame a wolf. You learn to run with it, to hunt with it, to channel its ferocity toward your goals. Every great conqueror in history, every man who changed the course of civilization, every warrior who made the impossible look trivial, they all had one thing in common. They had access to a rage so deep, so pure, so focused that when they unleashed it, reality itself bent to their will. Alexander the Great wasn't a calm, balanced man meditating on mountaintops. He was a fury incarnate who channeled his rage into conquering the known world before he turned 30. Genghis Khan wasn't processing his childhood trauma in support groups. He transformed his anger at injustice into an empire that stretched from Korea to Hungary. These men understood the code. Anger is fuel, the highest octane fuel that exists. And while everyone else is running on the weak gasoline of fleeting motivation, you can tap into something infinitely more powerful. But here is where most people get it catastrophically wrong. They confuse raw, uncontrolled rage with channeled anger. They explode at their family. They punch walls. They make impulsive decisions that destroy their lives. Then society points at them and says, "See, this is why anger is dangerous. This is why you need to suppress it." But that's like saying fire is dangerous, so we should never use it, forgetting that fire, when controlled, powers entire civilizations. The ancient code was never about unleashing blind rage. It was about forging anger into a weapon so precise, so controlled, so devastatingly effective that your enemies wouldn't even see it coming. This isn't about becoming an angry person. It's about becoming a dangerous person, dangerous to your own limitations, dangerous to the status quo, dangerous to anyone or anything that stands in the way of your destiny. It's about taking that raw, chaotic energy and putting it through a forge. The heat of that forge is discipline. The hammer is focus. The water that cools the blade is strategy. What comes out is not a clumsy club of rage, but a perfectly balanced sword of purpose. Think about the last time you felt truly angry. Not annoyed, not irritated, but deeply, fundamentally angry. What was it telling you? That you were being undervalued at work, that your relationship was draining your life force, that you were watching your dreams die a slow death. That feeling wasn't a problem to be solved. It was a signal to be decoded. It was your inner warrior telling you to wake up, to draw a line in the sand, and to fight for the life you were meant to live. The modern world wants you docile. It wants you sedated, distracted, and easily managed. A man connected to his righteous anger is a threat to that system. He cannot be easily controlled because his power comes from within, not from external validation. He doesn't need your approval. He needs his own self. This is the path less traveled. It requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to confront the darkest parts of yourself. But on the other side of that confrontation is not a monster, but a king. So the next time you feel that fire rising within you, don't rush to extinguish it. Don't be ashamed of it. Step back, observe it, and ask yourself one question. What is this energy telling me to build? What is it telling me to destroy? Learn to listen to the wolf inside you. Learn to run with it. Because in a world of sheep, the wolf is the one who charts his own path, hunts his own food, and ultimately shapes his own reality. Master this, and you will become unstoppable. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. The samurai had a concept called fiducian, the immovable mind. This wasn't about being emotionless. It was about having such complete mastery over your emotional energy that anger became a tool you could pick up and put down at will, rather than a storm that picked you up and threw you around like a ragdoll. When a samurai felt anger, he didn't suppress it or explode with it. He transmuted it. He took that burning energy and compressed it into diamond-hard focus, into surgical precision, into movements so fast and economical that the enemy was dead before they even realized the battle had begun. Now, let me reveal something that might sound brutal but is absolutely true. Every moment you spend trying to be nice, trying to be liked, trying to avoid conflict, you are bleeding energy that could be used to dominate your field. Think about it. You were programmed from childhood to be agreeable, to not make waves, to smile when you're disrespected, to apologize for simply taking up space. You were taught to suppress the natural aggression that is your biological inheritance as a human being. And this programming isn't accidental. It serves a purpose. Docile people are easy to control. Agreeable people don't threaten the status quo. Men without access to their anger are like sheep, and sheep don't build empires. They get herded and, eventually, slaughtered. The Vikings understood this on a molecular level. They had the berserkers, warriors who could tap into such a primal rage that they became essentially unstoppable in battle. But here's what history often doesn't tell you. Berserkers were not just out-of-control lunatics. They trained for years to access that state consciously, to ride the wave of fury without drowning in it, to become the perfect marriage of savage aggression and tactical precision. They used psychotechnologies, rituals, breathing techniques, and mental conditioning that allowed them to flip a switch and become something beyond human. And when the battle was over, they flipped the switch back. That is mastery. That is the code. Modern society has created an epidemic of depressed, anxious, low-energy men. And nobody wants to address the real cause. You've been disconnected from your anger. Depression isn't always sadness. Sometimes it's rage that has nowhere to go, energy that has been dammed up for so long it has turned stagnant and toxic. You were taught that expressing anger is immature, that real strength is staying calm all the time, that emotional control means feeling nothing, so you stuffed it down, year after year, insult after insult, injustice after injustice, until that massive reservoir of unexpressed rage turned inward and started eating you alive from the inside out. The ancient warriors never had this problem. When they felt anger, they had a clear outlet: training. They channeled every ounce of that rage into their practice, into perfecting their craft, into preparing for battle. They took the energy of anger and used it as fuel for becoming undeniable. You can do the same. That burning feeling when someone disrespects you, when you're overlooked, when you fail, when reality slaps you in the face, that is not something to medicate away. That is rocket fuel. The real question is, are you going to waste it exploding at people on social media, or are you going to funnel every single drop of it into your training, your work, your relentless pursuit of becoming so skilled, so valuable, so undeniable that those who disrespected you will have to choke on their own words? Even the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, are often misunderstood as emotionless philosophers who preached suppression. But if you read their actual words closely, you'll see a different story. They didn't advocate for feeling nothing. They advocated for not being controlled by your feelings. They saw emotions as raw data, information to be analyzed and acted upon with reason. That spark of anger was a signal that a value had been violated, that an injustice had occurred, that action was required. The key wasn't to ignore the signal, but to choose the response. Instead of reacting blindly, you can use that energy to fortify your principles, to correct the injustice, or to walk away with your dignity intact. But you can transform that raw, chaotic energy into disciplined action. This is the path to true power and self-mastery. Don't let your fire go out. Learn to channel it. Use it to forge the person you were always meant to be. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Ever wonder how the great warrior emperor, Marcus Aurelius, handled anger? He wasn't sitting peacefully in a garden, pretending anger didn't exist. He spent years on brutal military campaigns, making life and death decisions every single day. He faced betrayal, incompetence, and the crushing weight of an empire. He took all that immense anger and he reframed it, redirected it, using it as pure energy to do what needed to be done. When he wrote in Meditations about not being disturbed by external events, he wasn't talking about becoming a passive doormat. He was talking about not letting reactive anger control you, but instead, letting you control the anger. There's a massive difference. Reactive anger makes you a slave. Channeled anger makes you a king. Marcus faced conspiracies, assassination attempts, plagues, and wars. He transformed all of that potential rage into clear-headed decision-making and relentless execution. That is the code, not the absence of anger but the absolute mastery of it. Here is a mental framework that will change everything if you truly internalize it. Anger is information. When you feel angry, your system is telling you that your current reality does not match your standards. Now, most people respond to this information in one of two catastrophic ways. Either they lower their standards to match their reality, convincing themselves they never wanted that thing anyway. They'll say being average is actually wisdom, or that ambition is toxic, until they become a shell of what they could have been. Or they explode in impotent rage, blaming everyone else, making excuses, burning bridges, and ensuring they stay exactly where they are. But the warrior takes the third path. He treats anger as a compass pointing toward what needs to change, and then he gets obsessively brutally to work changing it. Think about it. When a Spartan warrior felt anger at his own weakness during training, he didn't complain about the system being too hard. He didn't quit and find an easier path. He took that anger and used it to train harder, longer, and more intensely until the weakness was eliminated. The anger was not the problem. The weakness was the problem. The anger was simply the alarm system pointing it out. You need to understand something that might sound dark but is liberation itself. The world does not care about your feelings. Nature doesn't care if you think something is unfair. Reality will not adjust itself to your comfort level. You can be angry about that fact, or you can use that fact. The ancient warriors chose to use it. They built entire systems, philosophies, and training methods specifically designed to transform the brutal unfairness of existence into fuel. When a young Spartan was beaten in training by an older warrior, he could cry about it being unfair, or he could get angry enough to train until he was the one doing the beating. When a samurai's lord was killed and he became a masterless ronin, he could despair about the injustice. Or he could channel that rage into becoming so skilled that he needed no lord, becoming a legend in his own right. The choice has always been the same. Be a victim of your circumstances, or be a warrior who uses every circumstance, especially the unjust ones, as raw material for transformation. Your anger at being overlooked at work, your rage at starting with nothing while others inherited everything, your fury at past betrayals. These are not burdens to therapy away. These are gifts. These are reserves of energy that most people will never access because they are too busy trying to be zen. Don't run from your anger. Don't suppress it. Learn to see it for what it is, a signal, a call to action, a source of power that, when mastered, can propel you to heights you never thought possible. That is the warrior's way. Master your anger, and you will master your world. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join us on this path. See you in the next one. I'm about to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable, but you need to hear it. Nice guys don't change the world. They don't build empires, they don't create movements, and they don't leave legacies. They get used, overlooked, and forgotten. Think about it. Every single man who truly changed history had what society today would call anger issues, that had standards so high, a vision so clear, and an intolerance for mediocrity so intense that they often seemed unreasonable, difficult, or even impossible to work with. Steve Jobs was infamous for his rage at substandard work. He threw tantrums, he fired people on the spot, he demanded the impossible, and what was the result? He created devices that fundamentally changed how billions of people interact with technology. Was his anger always fair? No. Was it always productive? Probably not. But it was real, it was powerful, and it was channeled toward a vision that would accept nothing less than perfection. Then there's Elon Musk. He has public meltdowns. He's known for being harsh with employees, and he sets deadlines that seem completely insane. Yet, he is simultaneously revolutionizing multiple industries that experts said were impossible to disrupt. These men didn't succeed in spite of their anger. They succeeded because they learned how to channel that anger into relentless standards and flawless execution. You've been lied to. The path to greatness isn't paved with positive affirmations and everyone holding hands. It's paved with controlled fury. It's built on an intolerance for your own weakness, and a burning rage at the gap between where you are and where you know you could be. So, I want you to stop right now and think about this. What are you truly angry about? I'm not talking about surface-level irritations like traffic or a slow internet connection. I mean deep down, what injustice, what failure, what limitation makes your blood boil when you're alone at 3 in the morning? That thing you try to ignore because it hurts too much, because it feels overwhelming. That's your treasure map. That anger is pointing directly at your purpose. It's showing you what you are supposed to dedicate your life to changing. The reason you're so angry about it is because your soul knows you have the potential to do something about it, and you're not. Write it down in the comments below. Do it for yourself. Name the thing you are truly angry about, because the moment you name it, the moment you stop running from it and decide to channel every ounce of that rage into systematic action, you become unstoppable. That's when your transformation begins. The Roman gladiators understood something profound about this. In the arena, facing death, there was no room for hesitation, no time for fear. The gladiators who survived weren't the ones who suppressed their anger. They were the ones who transformed it into explosive action, into a presence so intense that their opponent was often psychologically defeated before the fight even began. They trained their bodies, but more importantly, they trained their ability to access controlled rage on command, becoming a hurricane of focused power. You're in your own arena every single day. You might not be fighting with swords, but you're fighting against mediocrity, against your own limitations, and against a world that wants you to stay small and manageable. In this arena, your anger is your greatest weapon, but only if you forge it correctly. Unforged anger is like a grenade that blows up in your hand, but forged anger, that's a laser capable of cutting through any obstacle between you and your vision. Don't let anyone tell you to calm down. Instead, learn to focus that fire. Let it fuel your discipline, your ambition, and your relentless pursuit of excellence. That is how you stop being a nice guy and start becoming a man who leaves a mark on the world. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join the fight. Here's the code ancient warriors actually used, a system you can implement starting today. First, stop judging your anger. Stop treating it like some kind of moral failing. It's not good or bad, it is pure potential energy. When you feel that anger rising, don't suppress it, and definitely don't explode with it. Instead, just observe it. Feel where it sits in your body. Notice the heat, the tension, the sheer power of it. This is step 1, awareness without judgment. Second, ask the question, what is this anger teaching me? Is it showing me that I've been tolerating disrespect? Is it revealing that I'm not working as hard as I could be? Is it pointing out that I'm surrounding myself with people who drain my energy? Your anger has a message, but most people never receive it because they are too busy either suppressing the messenger or letting it rampage out of control. Third, you must channel that energy immediately into action. Not reactive action like sending an angry text or making an impulsive decision. I'm talking about strategic action, aligned with your long-term vision. Are you angry about your financial situation? Go to the gym right now and destroy a workout while mentally planning your next business move. Furious at being disrespected? Use that fire to work on your craft for 3 hours straight with inhuman focus. The key is immediacy. You can't store this energy for later. You have to use it now, while it's hot, while it's powerful. This is the transmutation process. It's alchemy, turning the base metal of rage into the gold of progress. But the ancient code also includes something most modern people never even consider: the intentional cultivation of anger. The Vikings, before a battle, would work themselves into a fury through ritualistic chanting, visualizing their enemies, and recalling past injustices. They understood that accessing peak performance sometimes requires accessing peak emotion, and anger is the most accessible, most powerful peak emotion that exists. You can do this too, before a crucial presentation, before a difficult workout, before any moment where you need to perform beyond your normal capacity. You can consciously recall moments of disrespect, times you were underestimated, instances of injustice. You fan the flames deliberately, not to explode, but to access a level of intensity and focus that is otherwise completely unavailable to you. This is an advanced technique, and it requires maturity, but it's exactly what the greatest performers throughout history have done. They didn't just wait for motivation to strike. They manufactured intensity through conscious emotional cultivation. Muhammad Ali did this before every single fight. He worked himself into a controlled fury with trash talk and mental rehearsal, and then he stepped into the ring as something beyond human. Most people go through life with the emotional intensity of lukewarm water. They're not happy, not sad, not angry, not passionate. They're just existing in a gray zone of mediocrity. And then they wonder why their results are mediocre, why they never break through, why opportunities always seem to go to other people. It's because they have no energy, no fire, nothing that makes reality itself sit up and take notice. You can't negotiate with a lukewarm person. You can't be inspired by them. You can't even remember them 5 minutes after they leave the room. But a person with controlled anger, with focused rage, with fire in their eyes and steel in their voice, that person changes the temperature of every room they enter. People might love them or hate them, but nobody ignores them. And in a world that is drowning in mediocrity, being impossible to ignore is the ultimate competitive advantage. The ancient warriors were never ignored. They radiated such intensity, such barely contained ferocity, that their mere presence shifted power dynamics. You can cultivate this same presence by reconnecting with your anger, by stopping the decades of conditioning that taught you to be small, quiet, and agreeable, and by consciously deciding that you would rather be powerful than liked. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let's talk about a dark truth that most people will never admit. There are people in your life who benefit from you being weak. They benefit from you suppressing your anger, from you staying small and manageable, from you never accessing your full, untamed power. These are the people who will try to shame you for your intensity. They'll call you aggressive, or angry, or difficult the moment you start setting boundaries. The second you refuse to tolerate disrespect, when you start channeling that inner fire into relentless self-improvement, they'll try to put you back in your box. But you need to understand this very clearly. Their discomfort with your transformation is not your problem. Think about it. The ancient warriors, the Spartans, the Vikings, they didn't ask for permission to become dangerous. They didn't seek anyone's approval for their intensity. They simply forged themselves into weapons, and the world had no choice but to adjust. You will lose people during this process. You will be misunderstood. You will be called names. And you know what? Good. That is how you know it's working. Because the version of you that everyone was so comfortable with was the version that was never going to accomplish anything extraordinary. The moment you start turning your anger into power, into higher standards, into relentless execution, you become a threat to people who are content with mediocrity. Let them go. They are not your tribe. Your tribe is made of the other warriors who understand this code, the ones who are also forging themselves in the fire. They'll recognize the intensity in your eyes because they see it every day in their own mirror. If you've watched thus far, it's because you're different. Something inside you resonates with this ancient knowledge. You're tired of being told to calm down, to lower your standards, to accept less than you deserve. You're ready to stop suppressing the most powerful force you possess and start using it to build something undeniable. A perfect example is the Mongolian warriors under Genghis Khan. They were outnumbered in almost every battle they fought. They should have been annihilated countless times, but they had something their enemies didn't. They had channeled centuries of rage, personal anger, tribal anger, generational anger into the most disciplined, ferocious, and coordinated military force the world had ever seen. They weren't just fighting for conquest. They were expressing their fury at being treated as less than human. And that fury, once organized and directed, conquered half the known world. You have that same potential locked inside you right now. Every injustice you've suffered, every time you were underestimated, every single moment of humiliation and defeat, it's all stored in your body as raw potential energy. The only question is, will you let it rot into bitterness and depression, or will you forge it into the weapon that carves your name into history? Subscribe to this channel right now, because we are going much deeper into these forbidden archives of the mind. This isn't a channel for people who want comfortable lies. This is for warriors who want the uncomfortable truths that actually transform reality. We are unlocking the mental codes that ancient masters died protecting. If you don't subscribe, you will miss the next revelation. You might spend the rest of your life wondering what you could have become if you had just accessed the power that was always there, waiting for you to claim it. Don't let that happen. Click subscribe now and join the others who have chosen the path of transformation over the path of comfort. It's time to build. Listen up, because this is your final initiation. This is the code, and it starts with a vow you make to yourself, right now. Vow that you will never again waste your anger. Not a single drop, not on pointless arguments with people who couldn't care less, not on social media rants that vanish into the void, changing absolutely nothing, and definitely not on self-destructive habits that only poison you from the inside out. From this moment forward, I want you to make a change. Every time you feel that familiar heat of anger rising in your chest, I want you to recognize it for what it truly is. It's sacred fuel. It's a powerful gift from your own nervous system. Think of it as the universe handing you pure rocket fuel and asking, all right, what are you going to do with this? Don't let it burn you up. Instead, take that raw, explosive energy and immediately channel it. Pour it into your training until your muscles scream. Funnel it into your work until you produce something no one can ignore. Devote it to your mission, to your craft, to whatever it is that sets your soul on fire. You will become known as someone with an undeniable intensity, with high standards, with a fire that simply never goes out. And then, a funny thing happens. Slowly, but inevitably, you'll notice reality starting to bend to accommodate your will. Why? Because reality always yields to those who refuse to break. It bows to those who learn to channel their rage, their frustration, their fire into becoming an undeniable force of nature. This isn't some new age trick. This is the ancient code. This is the path that warriors, creators, and titans of industry have walked for centuries. This is how ordinary people transformed themselves into legends. And now, that code is yours. It's in your hands. So the only real question left is, what will you do with it? Do you have the courage to actually use it? Or are you going to let another year slip by, feeling that fire inside you slowly flicker and die from neglect? The choice is right here, right now. Choose power. Choose the ancient way. Remember this, your anger is not your enemy. It is your greatest weapon, waiting to be forged. Now go out there and build something the world cannot ignore. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more.